Welcome to the season of self-love, your daily dose of inspiration and encouragement. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to be here with you today. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery. Are you ready to elevate your mindset and embrace the power of self-love? Well, have you come to the right place? Each day we'll dive into topics that will empower and inspire you on your journey towards self-discovery and personal growth. Whether you're looking to cultivate healthy relationships, boost your confidence, or find balance in your life, this podcast is here to support your every step on the way. We believe that self-love is the foundation of living a fulfilled and joyful life. And together we explore practical tips, insightful interviews, and transformative stories that will leave you feeling inspired and motivated. So join me Monday through Friday as we embark on this daily adventure of self-love. Tune into the Season of Self-Love podcast to start your day on a positive note and discover the limitless potential within yourself. Hey, my beautiful people. Welcome back to a brand new season of the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and today I am joined by our resident therapist, Dr. Will. How can I start the second season without my main man? But before we bring him to the stage, we're going to take a quick break. But I want to tell you this. Remember, the theme for this month is all about healing beyond betrayal. So as we explore the profound effects of betrayal, can we have our time and moment together, all right? All right? So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks, Season of Self-Love. Here we go. What are some common barriers that prevent people from expressing? Hey, it's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks, here from the Season of Self-Love podcast.
Yeah, I would say remorse. So shame and guilt is a very dividing emotional.
And these are one of the many amazing conversations that we have every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Season of Self-Love podcast with myself, Nyomi Banks, as well as our resident therapist, Dr. Will Washington of Washington Wellness Institute. Come by.
The reality of our relationship with people.
Come by.
And a lot of times we're afraid of how people look at us. And so that compassion can't enter.
You can hit us on the website, the Season of Self-Love podcast.com.
Washington Wellness Institute focuses on healing always. For me, if I look good, then I feel good. If I feel good, then I share the good. If I share the good, then I celebrate the good. If I celebrate the good, then I live the good. So I can be paid to be my greatest. But I have to learn the good to be the good.
So, what does it take to be the greatest? It's as simple as a free 15-minute consultation. Be kind to yourself and heal always.
All right, well, welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and today we are introducing a new series called Healing Beyond the Betrayal. And today our topic is understanding the impact of betrayal on mental health. And today joining me is our resident therapist, Dr. Will from Washington Wellness. Hey, Dr.
It's so good to be back. I look different. I worked out a little different, ate different a little bit. I had to get ready. I had to prepare for this. I had to train for this.
So right, you got a little glow. You got a little glow going on.
I got a little glow. That's what I say. I'm working on skin work. It's a beautiful thing. I learned all about skincare.
I hear that. So are you ready for this series? It's a really yes. Great and moving series. It really is. And when I tell you some of the guests that are coming on this month are amazing. The stories are amazing.
I feel like you know how to pick the mountain and climb it. I really do. I was like, betrayal, that's a huge word with so many different angles. So I'm excited to see who you're bringing on in this series.
That's what I'm talking about. But y'all know how we do it. Before we get into the topic, let's take a quick break. Let's do a nice little center ourselves to get ready for this topic, all right? And close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose and hold for a moment. And as you exhale slowly through your mouth, I want you to continue to breathe deeply. I want you to imagine each breath washing over you with calmness. And each exhale releasing any tension that you might feel. Now envision yourself surrounded by a gentle aura of peace, that nurtures and protects your heart and mind. Let's carry this sense of calm throughout today's mission. Now you can open your eyes and be in the present moment. All right, well, welcome back. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for just being here in this moment, in this time with us right now. And if you're new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, see, I got tongue tied already. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, where we help center ourselves before we get into the topic at hand. And of course, I got Dr. Will here with me. And we're going to go deep in it, right? We're going to go deep in
Every
it.
time. We don't do shallow water. We don't do shallow water.
We don't. We get down deep in there. Sometimes I go down a little rabbit hole. Sometimes you come follow me in another rabbit hole.
It's beautiful. I love it. I love it, though. I love it.
But today
I'll
we're
just
talking
do it,
about
though.
understanding the impact of betrayal. But first, let's understand what betrayal is. Betrayal is like a deeply personal and often devastating experience that come in many forms, leaving lasting scars on our emotional and well-being. You see, understanding the nature of betrayal and impact is first step towards healing and reclaiming our sense of self. Today, we are here to discuss the impact that betrayal does on our mental. You see, there are different forms of betrayal, and I think I've probably on the receiving end of at least, now of all five of them: infidelity, deception, abandonment, broken promises, and betrayal of self. So I think I've been through them all. Dr.
Mm.
Will, I think I've been through all. So can you explain how betrayal trauma differs from any type of psychological trauma?
Yes. The thing about betrayal is, so it's heavy because what it does is it goes to a root, right? We have these foundations in childhood development, right? Safety, security, nurturing, nature, right? All these different words that pretty much define our childhood development. And when you experience betrayal, it hits something a lot deeper than just the moment itself. It's not just, oh, here's the moment and this is what happened to me. It's this moment hit me and hit six other things that were happening in my life that made me who I am.
Yeah,
And so betrayal is when you're in the nest and someone not only takes you out the nest, but they actually breaks the nest. So you
yeah.
can't even get back to it. And so
Mhm.
that recovery period is a lot deeper and the work is so much more involved and integrated into your own system.
Yeah. When I decided to do this series right here, and I believe we talked the other day, off again, and it was really just supposed to be just one show that I was going to do. And then I said, no, we really have to get deep down into this. I need to just continue to follow the format of what I've been doing with
Hmm.
this self-love and taking the whole month to do that. But not only that, but now I actually included an ebook and a challenge that
Oh,
actually
wow.
started on the first. Yeah, to kind of really get into that, because each one
Yeah.
of the face of betrayal looks different to all of us. Does that make sense? It looks different
Yes.
to all of us. And really knowing and understanding, opening it up more, so it's just not my face and it's not just your face, but we get so many other
Mhm.
faces that maybe our listeners could resonate with. Like I said before,
Yeah.
the five, I've hit all five of them several different times, um, but making this, when I was doing this show right here, and I knew I wanted this to be the first show, and I knew I wanted you to be here with the first show, is because I can even imagine what your response will be to some of these questions that I knew that needed to be answered. Because because even when you said that, when that betrayal comes, it taps in like more than just one thing, multiple of
Yes.
things, multiple of layers to your being, to your intellect or your intake, your emotions. And so it's like, what do
Mhm.
we do with it then? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
we're talking about self-love. This is what we're talking about on this podcast. So how can we truly have self-love for ourselves when we have all this hate and this deception within us of betrayal, not only from others, but from ourselves, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think what you said was these layers that you talk about. people aren't just noticing them, they're going through them.
Mm-hmm.
They're going through these layers and they don't know where to start, where to stop. And it makes recovery so difficult to know when to begin.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're definitely going to be getting into this.
Yeah. And why I am so excited because let's talk about, and I'm going off script right now. Let's talk about what's the word? Gaslighting, as they call gaslighting. Gaslighting, people.
Now, it's very popular. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is another form of betrayal to one that you've hurt or of people around that has been hurt. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to be a whole show topic right there that we're talking about, with
Yes.
that. I think
That's an
that's
umbrella for me. That's an
Say that
umbrella term for me. Gaslighting is an umbrella term for me. Like, since it's gaslighting, I'm thinking of 5 to 6 other words that go under that to equal that one word. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we getting in there, y'all. We got y'all.
It's going down. It's going down.
We got y'all. I promise you, we got y'all. I'm telling you, when it came to me and it was telling me to wait, and then it said, no, this is when you should do it, and then you're gonna have some people to help you along the way. I said, okay, I'm there. And then I want you to do this, and this. I said, okay, I'm there. I'm there. I was like, okay. I said, let me get on with Dr. Will and see if he gonna follow me right here, right next to me.
Through the fire. If we still friends. Through the fire. Through the fire. I got you.
See, that's why I got on my red hat today. You see through the fire.
Right.
Time.
Why did that connect so well? I'm so mad.
See, Chicago native.
Right.
Red
Wow.
hair, big hair.
You can't write. Look, like I feel unprepared. I thought I had a cool T-shirt on, but now I just feel like I should have did something. I had
Man,
like my
it's been
fake
a long
Odell
time.
hair. I tried. Oh,
Well, you balancing us out. See, you can't be as wild as me, so we gotta have a even till somewhere, right?
You right. Peanut butter and jelly. I love it. I got
We
you.
can't
Okay.
come here like banging and kicking open the door just on the first
Yeah.
day.
This we've only been 12 minutes in. Too soon. Too soon.
We need fire and ice, baby. Fire and ice.
Right. I got it. Look, I'll be the ice. I got it. I love it.
All right, Dr. So, I know from personal experience and from many of you who have shared our stories, just how deep can the wounds go? So, Dr. Will, for you, could you talk about some of the common reactions that people might have to betrayal?
Yes. So many of the, just to give some preface to this, being a hypnotherapist as well, we do age regression. And so people come to me with, something happened to me last week. I want to talk about it. I need to discuss it. And it's amazing how they come in with this one feeling, this surface emotion. And then when we slow down and we age regress, there's actually a deeper childhood wound that was unresolved. And many times the way that betrayal works is that there are unresolved childhood wounds that are occurring.
Mm-hmm.
And they live in us in so many different ways. And as we grow older, we create layers on top of that, right? And there are multiple techniques like IFS therapy that help with internalized burdens, those internal burdens that you hold. But as an adult, we tend to mask those feelings with other behaviors or things that make us look great, or we might even take a job that helps us kind of be the person we weren't for ourselves, right? And so I've even found that for many clients, they usually become the thing that they didn't resolve, or they try to become the thing that they wish they had,
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to get through those layers. And in the age regression, you find the deepest root, and it's usually a child. Either it can go into infancy, and it's amazing that the pain that you even come through, that's not even your pain, like we call those legacy burdens, right? The trauma that is passed down from your parents that's unresolved gets passed on to you. Now it's your job to deal with how to resolve it.
Right.
That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Alone, especially.
Yeah. So what would be the therapeutic approach to that?
Yeah. So if I were to look for a therapist, I would look for a therapist that does IFS therapy. So if you've ever seen the movie Inside Out, That's kind of how it looks. Yeah. So that's kind of how that therapy works. I use my model, which is the inside out model as well. Restorative enhancement modality. I would even look at different forms of hypnotherapy. I would also look at getting a life coach as well. So I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I loved anybody walking into my office. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But some people aren't ready for therapy, and you have to prep yourself for therapy. I've had people come in and say, "Well, I'm ready to talk about my childhood and my trauma." And I'm like, you could, but you have too much going on in your life to actually sit and focus on this. You created a survivorship. And many people that have these unresolved issues, especially from betrayal,
Yeah.
they have a lot of survivorship, not relationships. And so they create relationships based upon the absence rather than their abundance.
Yeah.
And
I
so
like
a
that
lot of people are
survivorship.
living in that. Yeah. So I really, betrayal is that awakening of survivorship. It really
Yeah.
is. And you realize, like, oh my God, I've been doing this and going through this because I was afraid of never actually existing.
Yeah.
I had to go through this to be something. So now when you're that thing, you don't know how to actually enjoy it because you never took time to actually create relationships. You made it all based upon your struggle, your absence, never the things that were actually abundant and fulfilling, which is why
Right.
self-love is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when a few weeks ago we talked about this, but I just want to share this a little bit with our listeners. When I knew that it was for me, the confirmation for me to truly do this series was a few days before I was to go home to Chicago. I hadn't been back home to Chicago in a few years. In about 2 or 3 years, I hadn't been back home. And it before then, there was an incident that happened with some family members that kind of threatened the safety of my family here. And
Mhm.
for that reason, I really didn't want to be around them. I had put myself in a situation to be around them right after it happened. It was like right after it happened. And so I didn't
Mm.
approach them or say anything to them, but I know who they are. Um, and I was at that time, that's when I was really going through my spiritual, like, and I was kind of, just relieving people from me. And so that was my thought, is relieve all of these people, family, toxic friends, whatever, anybody that wasn't aligned with what I was doing at this moment, at this time, I was cutting them all off. Then I remember, no, I woke up one morning, and as I wake up, I see this S. You know how you, like, in that in between woke and sleep, when you just
Mhm.
waking up and
Yeah.
you have that last vision, before you woke, and it was
Mhm.
the big, beautiful S, black, shiny, with like diamond crescents in it. I'm like, what is that?
Mm.
I was
Oh,
like, what is
wow.
that? So it was
Yeah.
S. What is that S? So I go in my meditation room. I didn't really get anything, nothing. So as I'm getting ready for the day, and there was Shannon Sharp popped on with LL Cool J.
Mm.
LL Cool J, that's my man in my head. That's my man in my head, right?
Right. I love that.
So he had said something that was very moving to me. And I was like, okay, well, maybe that was Shannon. Maybe that's what it was. The essence was Shannon Sharp. I'm always trying to find a reason for something. And
Mhm.
so as I'm sitting there, and actually he clicks off after that. It clicks off. And I'm like, okay, that was moving. So maybe it was for that. So I'm, in the
Mhm.
kitchen cleaning up, and something happened where it was like, I need to listen to what I heard was listening to souls. And I was like, souls,
Mm.
another X, right? I heard that, like,
Interesting.
I heard souls, like it was clear in
Interesting.
my head
Yeah.
as I'm washing dishes. I'm like, souls. And so I was like, okay, listen, okay, what is it? And it said read. Read. And so I went to my Audible, and because at that time I was listening to Gary Garvey. That's what I was listening to after Shannon Sharp show, where I was listening to Gary V. Gary V, that's his
Mhm.
name. I was listening to Gary V. And matter of fact, he clicked off. He clicked off when I heard the souls. It just clicked off and I heard souls. And then I was like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? So I go to Untethered Souls. As soon as I push play, because I had been listening to it already, and I had already read it, I pushed it, and it was to the exact part about keeping your broken heart open. Meaning that when we get our heart broken or when somebody does something wrong to us, we cut them off instantly. We go inside, yes. And so we never able to heal. All we do is just pile on more stuff. And so throughout this book, I listened for this book for about 7 hours that day. And then my flight was the next day or the day before that. It was either a day or 2 days before I'm to go to Chicago, where I knew I will be around these family members. So in this process, it's telling me about all of these things, also about forgiveness, also about how to let things go, especially when you don't have any control over it. Allowing myself to go through the process of the pain, of the betrayal, you know what I'm saying, and look at it from a different perspective. When it happens, you know what I'm saying? And so I went through all of that, and that wasn't nothing but confirmation for me, because I just finished writing the book. I was in the middle of creating a course. I'm still not finished with it, but I was in the middle of creating a course. But all of that was just confirmation for me and made me feel so much better on returning back home.
Yeah,
right. So when I get there, it was, I led with love. I didn't have nothing but love for even coming in. Like, even though they did that to me, it wasn't to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it takes a lot of strength, internal resilience, as you talked about in past shows, to accept that it wasn't about me. When you know yourself, you know what isn't about you.
Yeah.
When you know yourself, you know what isn't about you.
Right.
And that is not only a skill, but that is a real gift to learn that in your healing process. Because ownership still has to be yours.
Yeah.
So that's really big that you experienced that and you were able to actually navigate that as well.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
Yeah. And so now I'm no longer allowing that betrayal to affect me. You know what I mean?
Betrayal is a unique friend.
Yeah. And it will stay on you heavy. It will stay on you heavy. And so now that I know that, and not saying that I'm cured of betrayal, because we're never cured of anything. There's always that subconscious, that thing that's back here. But at least now I know how to work through it.
And I gotta love that you said that, because the truth is that people are like, well, you gotta forgive and forget. I was like, no. I forgive you and I learned. So I can still love you again, but I'll also learn my lesson. I can't put myself back into that situation because I understand how that affects my wellness. Right. We all talk about boundaries and and triggers all the time. When it comes to betrayal, you're crossing every boundary. You're hitting only triggers. You're only hitting triggers. And so that resentment that you have is really about you not being enough for yourself in that moment.
Yes.
That's what it's really about.
Yes.
That's what
and that comes from that stuff. That comes from you having that stuff betrayal to yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, I got more questions for you, right? All right. So since we talked about my thing, right?
I was like, woo, yeah. You did great.
No. Honestly, so I'm not gonna put you in a hot seat, but I you know how we do it. We keep it real here.
You. Look, I trust you. It's too late. I already did it if I didn't do it already.
Right, exactly. Exactly. For you. And we just go to you as a man. Yeah, you're Dr. Will. You're the mind doctor. You're the emotional doctor. That's all of you. But for you, how do you get through betrayal? Like, can you give a time where you had to heal beyond your betrayal? And what steps did you take to get through?
Yeah, I'll actually do it from the perspective of me being the person that caused the betrayal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was the person that I was the person that was wrong. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
one that chose the wrong when I knew right and I still did wrong,
Right.
right? I chose infidelity in my life. And when I caused that type of pain, it wasn't just the pain that I caused that person. I hurt everybody around me.
Right.
I'm not somebody that was, I'm not perfect. I'm not this angel glow, right? It's really this moment where I realized that my inability to have discipline and willpower caused everything around me to hurt. And
Mm-hmm.
so I felt that pain for myself. I also felt the pain of others. But then I had to accept that, well, what part was mine in
Right.
this? What part was truly mine? And what do I own in this? And to navigate through that betrayal that I even caused, it was difficult because I recognized that it was never just about me by seeing everybody else upset, but I also recognize I triggered everybody else's betrayal and their own wounds and their own childhood wounds. And so I felt responsible for fixing their childhood wounds because I was so hurt in myself. A lot of times when you're hurt, you try to overextend yourself or overextend your capacity to make other people feel better rather than actually letting them feel what they want to feel and what they deserve to feel so that they
Mm-hmm.
can get through what they need to. And so I had to learn how to separate myself from their pain and work on the pain that I caused myself to put myself in that position in the first place.
Right.
And as a man, that is a very hard thing to do because I always talk about how manhood, it's hard to keep, easy to lose. Manhood is hard to keep, easy to lose. The moment you don't, the moment you step away from the ideology or the perception of a man, you have a lot of making up to do. You have a lot of things you have to climb. And so the fact that I removed myself from that perception, it was hard to accept that I wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to get back to knowing that I was enough. And unfortunately, you can't wait for somebody's applause. Or I talk to an elder and they're like, "Oh, you just got to forgive yourself." I'm like, that is a really difficult statement to hear. You got to forgive yourself. Well, how the hell, like how is that supposed to work? And I learned as when I sat, when you're still in your chaos, you realize that you have to either be the rock or the river.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us are so grown and conditioned to be the river. We're just trying to flow with everything that's happening sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that you actually have to be still and watch out because chaos is a distraction.
Yeah.
Betrayal causes distraction. It causes contempt. It causes these type of destructive things that are so damaging to your own emotional profile. And so I had to reclaim my emotional profile in a way that I've never learned before. I wasn't taught how to reframe my emotional profile, my emotional needs in my statements. And it was very difficult to have to accept that I'm not going to be the hero in someone's story.
Mm-hmm.
And that hurts, especially as a man, to know that I'm not going to be the hero in someone's story.
So you
Who
was
does that
acting.
turn you into?
Mm,
Exactly. And
mm,
so I had to learn that I have just as much value being a hero as much as a villain, because the truth is that they all have a story,
yeah.
and unfortunately, I had to recognize I had to come from a deficit, but I still have abundance in myself. I had realized that I am still a worthy man. I am still a good man. I still can offer and provide and care and nurture, and I can also correct myself. And I
Right.
think a lot of times that betrayal that I caused made me betray my own structure and my own identity and my own wellness. So now I'm working through what willpower means to me. And
Mm,
so willpower is how I'm actually recovering at this point in my life. And
right.
what does that mean for me?
Right. Right. I guess, and I'm about to go down this little hole real fast, just really quick.
Mhm.
Um, I guess what is the root of causing the betrayal?
Yeah. So principle 2 in my model, unmet needs result in irrational behaviors.
Mm,
Any unmet needs result in irrational behaviors. Usually when people do behaviors that are not functionally positive or they might be dysfunctional, it's typically because there's an unmet need that's occurring that they have not communicated, they have not expressed, they have avoided, or they attempted, but they don't feel like they have the capacity to try again. And so they may not have the support, the resource, the model, or even the proper intention to even do the change that's needed
Mhm.
because they're getting results, right? This motive. If I do this, I'll get this. The instant gratification can be a terrible thing if you don't know how to nurture that,
Right.
right? So we talk about impulses a lot, right? And if you can't learn to be still in an impulse, you don't understand what that impulse actually needs. You learn what the impulse wants, but you
Yeah.
don't know what the impulse
Mhm.
actually needs.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So principle
Mhm.
one.
That's good. Oh. Okay. Let me go to my next question because I'm over here thinking. Ah, okay. How can betrayal affect a person's ability to trust others in the future? And what can be done to rebuild that trust
Mm,
on both sides? On the side of the one who did the betrayal, the villain, and then also on the other side, the victim.
mhm. Yeah. So the biggest thing is this is gonna be really hard to say this, but the truth is that you can't build trust. People are going to disagree with me on this, but I've learned through working with so many people that you can't just build trust. Trust is or trust isn't. Trust is or
Mm,
trust isn't. And you can find more comfort with trust. But what happens is that we don't lose trust with that person. We lose trusting ourselves about who we are with that person. So if I don't trust you, it's not because of what you are or what you aren't doing. It's about, is this who I want to be regardless of what I am around you?
mm-hmm,
Am I going to be who I want to be around you?
mm-hmm,
Am I able to be who I am around you and not get blocked? And
mm-hmm.
so for the villain, it's kind of like I have to accept that this is who I am and this is who I'm going to be and this is what I've decided. You as the victim have to understand that, hey, recognize who I have to be, and I have to trust that I'm doing what I need to do. Because once again, forgive and forget doesn't really work, right? I have to forgive and learn the lesson. And are you strong enough internally and aligned enough to trust yourself to be who you are, regardless of the situation? And what is that called? Integrity. You have
Mm-hmm.
to have that integrity to know that I know who I was, I know who I'm not, and I know who I'm trying to be. And I'm okay with that. And a lot of times it's hard for us to put all those three together in one person. So and that causes the distortions or any mental illnesses that may arise sometimes because we don't know the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we know and do are
Right.
all misaligned.
Mm. So that's kind of what we're talking. This is my next question right here. You kind of touching a little bit on the next question is could you discuss the potential long term or psychological effects of betrayal, such as
Mhm.
PTSD or any anxiety disorder? So even you
Yeah.
kind of touched a little bit on that as you were just speaking. If you can continue with
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. So I had a client that has a lot of betrayal right now, and they suffer from anxiety disorder, a true anxiety, not just being nervous all the time, but like a true anxiety disorder. And they have learned that through their own betrayal and what they've went through, their anxiety always questions what if. It's a story of what if. What if I don't get this? What if I don't work? What if it doesn't work out? What if they hurt me again? What if it happens? What if? And
that. Mhm.
the more they're asking questions about them, the more they're getting further away from who they are.
Yeah.
Right. And so to be able to ground yourself with knowing that there's a form of humility of accepting that, hey, this person isn't enough. And I recognize that I also don't have to be everything for that person. We have this weird sense of ownership and possession with people that causes us to make people think that they should be more responsible for us than we are for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's a reframing that has to happen, and a lot of times cognitive behavioral therapy is a great start into learning who am I, what am I not, and why do I think I have to be everything.
Right. Now say that again because it sounded like it was a little muffled so our listeners can hear what you just said
Yeah.
again with the name of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT is a great start into
Mhm.
learning who I am, who I'm not, what's the capacity, right? And also, what is also my limitation? I didn't say that part, but it's also important to work within the limitations of your greatness too. We don't talk about that often, but actually limiting yourself makes you even greater as well. That's why you see all these amazing athletes and professionals that are so famous, is because they limited themselves in other ways to focus on that one specific thing to do extremely well. Think if you did that with your heart and your mind and your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Think about who
Mm-hmm.
you become with that type of focus. That's the type of self-love that we want to see.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Let's look at that. Usually I'm not too often lost for words, but I was sitting here like, okay, he kind of preaching. Come on, Dr. Will. All right, I hear
Look, I had
you.
to come back before you. You come in with fire. I had to cool it down for a second. I had to get colder. Woo.
That was woo, that was good. That was good. Let's go to the next question.
Mm-hmm.
And I have three here, and I'm trying to which one that okay, here we go. What are some common coping mechanisms that people might adopt after experiencing betrayal? And how can they shift towards a
Mm-hmm.
healthier strategy?
Yes. So, three things. The first thing is make a playlist of the person you want to be after this is all over. We always need a reminder of who we want to be. And a lot of times music is a great channel, a medium to help channel that heart space, right? Pouring back into yourself. Because a lot of times, like you said earlier, betrayal, you pour out a lot in
Yeah,
betrayal. So you got to pour back in.
yeah.
The second thing is to do a narrative therapy exercise. So I'll give people three pieces of paper, right? And on the first sheet, you write, what are you currently going through? You draw it. No words, just draw it. However you want to draw it, whatever it looks like. Use crayons, whatever it is. The second page, if everything could just be better and you have no problem and everything would be back to how you want it to be or how you want it to move forward and how you want it to look, put it on that page. Draw it. Any colors, no letters, no words. You can use letters sometimes, but just try to stay away from words. And then you put them on the left and right. And then you take that third page and you ask yourself, what do I need to get from the first one to the third one? What's this second page need from me? What does this page need from me so that I can bridge these two things together?
Mhm.
That's the work. So it's a narrative exercise. And then lastly, you got to start listening to yourself again. A lot of times when you go through betrayal, you forget what your voice sounds like. You forget how
Yeah,
much you mean to yourself. You forget how valuable you are. You forget what you can trust and what you can't trust. You start questioning other people about why they're not doing what you need. You don't know how to ask for help. You're just expecting people. It's hard to speak up for yourself. It's
right.
hard. And
Hmm.
so that third one's so important is pouring back into yourself. So listening to yourself. I love doing audio journals where I like to speak about my day and about who I was today, who I wanted to be today, and what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. And I go to sleep and I wake up in the morning and I listen to myself, hearing what was my best advice in my story. When you start giving yourself your best advice, it's a beautiful thing
Yeah,
because a lot of us have the answer in us. We
yeah,
just forget how to listen to ourselves.
right. We do. It's so funny. Even when we're counseling people or talking, coaching people,
Hmm.
the very advice that we give is the mirror image of the advice that we need to give ourselves. But for some reason,
Hmm.
it's like it's over our head, or we just think it doesn't, you know, pertain to us. Which
Yes.
I'm like,
Yes.
no, yes. I think that's what's different about my journey now, which in the
Hmm.
past years, my journey has been so different because before I would give advice all the time,
Hmm.
all the time. Um, some I would take for myself, some I wouldn't. Be like, okay, whatever. But now I know, like, no, those things that I should have been hearing myself, because honestly, those that I was attracting that energy. I was attracting those. You understand what I'm saying? I was attracting those
Yes.
people that was coming because evidently they see, well, she know because she probably been through the shit. She-
Hmm.
you know,
You
on,
know,
on,
it's real. It's
on the
real.
real. And she
People
won't
want
judge
that.
me. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And she won't
And
judge
I
me.
think that's beautiful. And that beautiful that but you walk in your healing, right?
Yeah.
And when I say walk in healing, I don't mean like you're floating and there's like glitter and glam. I mean you walk through who you've been, who you are, and who you will be.
Yeah. I have
And no
to.
one's gonna question that.
Right.
But not everybody's gonna do it. And they watch you being that example, which is amazing. That they
Yeah,
can
I
watch and they
have
can trust
to.
that.
Yeah. For years, I had to lie about my age. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, like, I couldn't be who I truly wanted to be. I had to be on all the time. So, like, you couldn't see me
Mm-hmm.
without my hat. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't see me
Mm-hmm.
without my eyes. You know, I had to
Mm-hmm.
be the Nyomi Banks, and before that, I had a whole different character that I was. You know what I was doing. So I was
Mm-hmm.
never allowed to just be who I am now. Just the
Right.
just all of it all in one. So you will
Yes.
see me on with my dreads up and me in some raggedy
Uh-huh.
shorts working out, having a good ass time with my what's the name? Oh yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what makes you unlimited,
Yeah.
right? The true power to being unlimited is being yourself,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Unapologetically.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's the gift.
Hmm. That is.
Yeah.
That's the there we go. See this?
Mhm.
We got back on this back and we riding,
We
ain't
back.
we?
This bike is a lot better than I thought. I forgot. Love it.
All right. So before we go, I want to ask you this, and I know you can't say none of that, but could you share a case of study or example of a practice that illustrates a successful journey of healing from
Mm,
betrayal?
yes. So it starts off with the awareness, right? The awareness of recognizing that I've been betrayed. Then you go through, it's almost like the stages of grief, right? You go through like
Mhm.
this rage, you go this how could I, this shock, this awe, this hurt, this pain, this regret, this resentment. I call it emotional malignancies. So the emotional malignancy cycle is you react, then you
Yeah.
start rationalizing, then you have remorse, shame, or guilt, then you have resentment, and then you have regret. And you keep cycling it. You react, you rationalize, you remorse, you resent, you regret. You keep cycling that. And then you end up becoming emotionally calloused, where
Mm.
feelings and feelings and words they don't feel the same anymore. Things
No.
don't feel the same. It doesn't taste the same. Food doesn't taste the same. People don't feel the same. You become callous to it. You just
Yeah.
it's almost about almost feeling numb, almost, right?
Mhm.
And then and that's self-inflicting behavior, right? So you're in the stage where you're just turning in, you're just self-inflicting so much. After a while, you start toning down to possibilities. So it's during that hurt period, you remove the options that are possible to actually healing you because you just can't deal with another wrong thing.
Right.
Just can't. Right. And then we get into this education, right? So you go from awareness to this education where you learn that, well, what really did happen? What really was going on? You start being a little more curious. Right? The action is never the reason. Principle one.
Mhm.
The action is never the reason. Was it really this way? Or was it just because I just couldn't handle it? Let me see what was really going on. Let me get the story. Let me get the narrative so I can stop objectifying my trauma and actually own my trauma.
Right.
Right? A lot of times we objectify trauma, which is why it gets so big.
Yeah.
Right. So now after the education moment, then we start worrying on the application. So what do I need to do to actually not heal with my trauma, but heal from the trauma?
Mhm.
Right? Because a lot of people will heal with their trauma if they don't talk about it, and then they become connected. But you
In
have to
that.
heal from it, right?
Mhm.
You have to. And so the application part is being open to therapy, being open to being life coached, being open to being coached in a way that changes your lifestyle because your lifestyle led you susceptible to betrayal.
Yeah.
So now you have to leave a lifestyle that
Mm.
does not have betrayal in the equation.
Exactly.
Right. So the awareness, the education, and the application.
Mm. I love that. I love that. I love that. Woo!
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
Hmm.
We
Oh,
here. We at the end. We at the end of the show.
wow. You did it. You did it. You did it. You did it. Yes. Yes.
All right, my beautiful people. I know this is season 2, and I have been so excited to get back to it. I missed it. I miss y'all. I miss you, Dr. Will. Like I missed
Yes.
it like I miss a pair of panties. No. Yeah, y'all
On and
know
off
I'm
the
like,
floor.
I don't even wear them. So
You're right. I was like, on and off the floor. It's okay. It's they who they are.
right. But honestly, yeah, truly, we got y'all. We really do. We got y'all here at the Season of Self Love podcast. And I play Dr. Will's his commercial all the time because yes, you listen to us here every day, also, and this is just for you to do at home, some work that you do at home, but it's still good to always go find that therapist. It's always good to find that person. And you got him right here, right here. Dr. Will didn't know.
I'm ready.
I'm a life coach. I'm gonna give it to you real raw and uncut too. Well, we can do it, but seriously, I cannot say this and just really stronger. This world is not getting any
Mm,
better until we start doing our own work.
yes.
And it has to start somewhere. And when I say I see tons and tons of self-help podcasts and self-help books and ebooks and a lot of things that I've saw, and I knew that the things that I wanted to give and wanted to put out there, I knew that it had to be different. I knew that it had to be authentic. I knew that it couldn't be, this. I knew that I had to come from my heart and my spirit and my soul. I had to use my stories in each one of these ebooks that I'm writing because I've been through it. You understand what I'm saying? And so know that whatever that you get from me, and know that whatever that you're getting from Dr. Will and anyone else that we bring on this stage to this front, is that they have been through it. And so they're not giving you anything that is just learned from a book. They're giving you from experience as well.
Yes.
When I tell you we got y'all this month, we got y'all this month. So if any moment of time right now that you guys are healing from a betrayal, from infidelity, from just anything, and I don't know why infidelity is just on my mind because I think I had been through
Mm-hmm.
it.
Like it's still there.
And even with self-love, just even with yourself, that's the biggest
Yeah.
thing, and that's what we want to get to first. First, you have to
You
heal
have to get
this.
there.
Yeah, heal this first. Heal you first, whoever you are. Tom, Joe, Mary, Sue, Gwen,
Sharonda, Sherry.
Shaquita, whoever you are listening, you know what I'm saying? This podcast is for you. It is for you. So now we're opening up our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group that's going on. And actually right now I got a 30-day challenge that's going on. It's called Hurt to Hope. It's a 30-day challenge of healing beyond the betrayal, where
awesome.
every day is something different. Started on September 1st. That very first day, it was writing a letter to yourself about the betrayal. So Dr. Will said a little bit about writing to yourself or speaking to yourself about things. So within that letter that you write to yourself, and if you just start today, write it. Don't hold back. Be real, raw, and uncut with yourself. And then when you finish with it, I'm gonna say this: take it and hold it to your heart, and say, "I forgive you." Say this because you didn't know no better in that betrayal, and I guarantee you that other person don't know no damn better, and that's just the honest to God truth. I'm not giving nobody excuses, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
It's amazing when you realize you're human.
Yeah. And then I got an ebook. Yes, I got an ebook. And this ebook is phenomenal.
We're reading this.
It's 55 pages. Look, it's 55 pages, not only of my experience and my testimony, resources, and all of that other stuff, but there is worksheets in it and workbooks in it. These are things that I've been doing throughout the years, not understanding why I was doing it. If I can tell you how many little papers and things that I got, notebooks that have written in, and just going in. When I tell you, God, we working on me, and I not even know. Yeah.
See, that could be a month, right? You could read that book in 1 month, 5 pages a day.
Yeah.
Literally, that could be your month book right there.
Yeah. 55 pages, and guess what? Starting next week, we'll have a Patreon page.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay. This upgrades is
Yes.
nice.
Yes. The
Okay.
upgrades is nice. See that 3 months that I took off? I was doing something.
Right. Right. I was like, see, I was just sad. See, I was just sitting sad. You actually doing something. See, I'm mad. Love it.
No, seriously, like, man, what I tell you, when I look at my girls, when I look at my family, when I look at my baby, I just say, it's time for us to truly do our work, really.
Mm,
And I think we sit a lot and we go through the motions of life. You know what I mean? We just go through the motions
yeah.
of life and we just sit there and just watch it go by and not knowing that anytime it's time to jump in. And I know people say, Naomi, but you always been jumping in. Not all the way. Not all the way. And I can be very honest. Now I'll just probably just put my foot in and my hand in like this.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like this,
Oh,
and then I'm holding on to the building like this.
mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Now I have jumped all the way in.
It's just full steam. Okay. Full steam. Full steam.
I have jumped all the way in. And
Wow.
what I have learned too is I've learned to not listen to those around me when they say, girl, you're doing too much. Slow down, you ain't doing enough. And it's so funny. Right. I had a conversation with my mom, was it yesterday morning? I went after I gave her lion's mane tea and her
Mm,
breakfast. We sitting down and I was talking to her and I was telling her that I had quite a few interviews to do this week. And but I was so excited because I remember one of the interviews that I had was it was just gave me life. But I knew that all of this was supposed to happen. And it felt so
mm,
good. Even though I'm in my studio in my home, I felt like I was in another room that I was supposed to be in, another room
mm-hmm.
that I was not the smartest person, or I was the one that not have connection. I always prayed to be in the room that I wasn't the one that was the smartest person. That I
Right.
always wanted to be in that room where I can sit and I can learn from those that's in that room.
Yeah.
And I've been learning. And that's been the most amazing thing. I do very well on my own, but I can do so much greater when I have other people with me. That's why when you and I conversate and we sit in this room together,
It's a power.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's really a powerhouse.
Yeah. And I love to be in those things, not the one. Do I love giving advice? Hell yeah, yes I do. But I also was my hey, you know what I
I, I gotta say though, I do love being in a room where I can speak everything I know. Cause I go to rooms where I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta speak 2 out of 5. Okay. So some rooms I gotta be like, okay, I can only speak 1 out of 5.
mean?
So I
Mhm.
enjoy being able to be like, oh, there are no numbers in this conversation. I can
Yeah,
just go wherever I need to go.
yeah,
So I have to filter my language and my intellect a lot. So I appreciate being able to be like, I can just say whatever I need to say.
yeah.
And
No,
that's
I,
okay.
I be wanting it. I be like,
I
come on.
I love it. I love that. Yeah, I love it because some people. I sometimes I look at rooms. I'm like, nah, I'm good. No, I'm good. Yeah, so
All
this is
right,
a
my
gift.
beautiful people. Yeah. As we close today's episode, let's reflect on a few affirmations that I want you to repeat after me. I am worthy of true trust and love. And the next one, I am resilient. And the last one, I embrace healing and transformation. That
I
is
love that.
all. That is all. Do you have any last words, Dr. Will, before we really close this off?
Yeah, be kind to yourself and heal always.
There we go. Again, guys, thank you for joining us today. And please share your stories and your feedbacks on our social media or our website. And join us tomorrow as we continue our series on healing beyond betrayal. And stay tuned, stay strong, and remember you are not alone in this journey. Have a good one. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and empowerment. here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer.